Hi, good evening, folks. In this edition of the Sabres Chronicles, we're going to look at Season 10 in our history. That's 1979-80. Coming up. Okay, I just want to go over a few notes before we get started, so let's just go right into this. There's a few notes here that are important to have kind of a theme going during this video, so here we go. The main thing for the league, 4 teams added in, as we all know them: the Edmonton Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, the Quebec Nordiques, the Hartford Whalers, who were the New England Whalers, but the Bruins insisted they can't use New England, so thus became the Hartford Whalers. Came into the league. And yes, it's an expansion. It's not an extension or an addition. It's an expansion. Expanding means we've expanded. Doesn't have to mean the team's starting from scratch. It just means it's an expansion. So we expand from 17 to 21 teams now. And the way this season's going to work is we're going to play each other 4 times. I play you 2 times in your home ice. You play me 2 times in mine. Every single team in the league. That's it. Very simple schedule when you think about it. Each team has even odds because of that. That's why I put every team has even odds. There's no weak division where a team's record's inflated, thus kind of maybe a little bit, let's say Toronto this year. And I know Toronto's a good team this year, don't get me wrong. They were my pick for first place before the year. But you got some kind of softies in there too. So we'll see, what happens in that division when it's all said and done. So the first round now is a 3 out of 5. Which I agreed with 100%. I couldn't stand a 2 out of 3. I thought that was ridiculous. Atlanta, the Atlanta Flames, are in their 8th and final season. The Flyers will lose Game 2 of the schedule. Then they will go 35 games unbeaten in a row. Still a record to this day. They went 25-0-10. And folks, this streak was magical to watch happen. It really was. That was really the story of the season. They lost in Atlanta 9-2, and then boom, they just went crazy for months. Like it was over 3 months or something. It was nuts. For us Sabres fans, the most important team in hockey. Scotty's first year in Buffalo. Coach and general manager. New regime has started. The Bowman era has begun. Right away, trades René Robert. Geez, no mercy, eh? Just broke up the French, walked in there, took the keys to the city, thank you very much, and broke up the French connection and said, let's get started. He trades René Robert for John Van Boxmeer, who was a very good defenseman. We all remember he was good. Not that he wasn't good, but it kind of sucked that the French connection got broken up. But we were desperate to win a cup, though, at this point. Even then, 1980, imagine. We draft Mike Ramsey in the first round, the Miracle on Ice team, Mike Ramsey. Yep. Solid defenseman who I believe should be in the Hall of Fame right now. And Lindy Ruff, second round, number 32 overall. Tough as hell. Top scorers that year. And actually, no, I got a few more things I got to mention. This is important. These are just notes. The Caps beat the Habs 3-1 on February the 19th, 1980. When people say, what's so important about that? That was the first time in Washington Capitals history that they beat the Montreal Canadiens. Got to remember the Montreal Canadiens of the 70s. We just went over that in the other videos, what they were like and what the Capitals were like, right? They were awful. When this happened, the fans were on the ice hugging themselves in Washington, celebrating like they won a Stanley Cup on their home ice. True story, folks. I was listening to it on the game that night with Dick Irvin calling it. I was thrilled. I was so happy when this happened. I believe it was an empty net goal, 3-1 too. I believe it was an empty net goal. I was so happy for them. That was such a moment in their history. Such a proud moment for them, Because in the second half of 1980, the Capitals, they didn't make the playoffs this year, but they woke up. They got 39 points in their last 40 games, I believe. That, for the Capitals, was waking up, believe me. All right, Habs lose 6 straight games for the first time in like decades. I didn't even go and check into it. I just remember it was like since 1930 or something. It was a long time since they had lost 6 in a row. And they would close out the season after that losing streak, 29, 4-7, yeah, without Scotty Bowman and yeah, without Ken Dryden. Unbelievable franchise, eh? All right, here we go. So we got Scotty's first year in Buffalo. I went over that. Let's go to the top scorers that year. Kind of important because this guy named Wayne Gretzky, some of you might have heard of him, came into the league. Oh my God, unreal. Marcel Dion, 53 goals, 84 assists, 137 points. Gretzky, 51 goals, 86 assists, 137 points. Guy Lafleur missed his last 7 games, or 7 games in. He missed 7. He missed 7 games. He got hurt. But that was a 6th straight season for Lafleur getting 50 goals, though. Lafleur is just phenomenal. Just was the most exciting Hab I ever seen. 50 goals, 75 assists, 125 points. So Lafleur's domination came to an end this season of dominating, the scoring title. And this guy named Gretzky, all of a sudden, they were calling him the boy wonder that year. Oh. My dog just went crazy, so I had to go get my dog. Anyway, let's get back into this. I'll start where she started going crazy when I started talking about this, and I'll just have to edit it out after. All right, so the top scorers that year was Marcel Dion, Wayne Gretzky, Guy Lafleur. I mentioned that was the end of Lafleur's reign as scoring champion. He missed 7 games. It still might have been enough to catch. It was that kind of year. These 3 were the best. And Gretzky came out of nowhere when this happened. Gretzky wasn't there all year hanging around first. He just came out of nowhere in the second half. This guy was like 8th or 9th in scoring and just went zoom in the second half. And in the last game of the year, Gretzky overtook the lead. You didn't expect it. It was Lafleur or Dion all year for any fan. We didn't expect this kid Gretzky to just surge the way he did, but he did. But Dion in the last game of the year got 2 assists, and he won the scoring title, which I'm happy he did, to be honest. I love Gretzky, but Dion, that was his only chance to get it. He got it, so I was kind of happy in his career he did get a scoring title. Goal leaders, Charlie Simmer, Blaine Stoughton. You might remember him in Hartford, some of you. Yeah, long time since you heard that name, Blaine Stoughton, hell of a goal scorer. And Danny Gare all had 56 goals. I'm sure if we check Charlie Simmer, he missed quite a few games that year, I think. I think it was this year. I didn't really check. But I remember Simmer, to me, was the top dog when it came to goals. Gilbert Perreault. Let's go over the Perreault Martin. Perreault Martin had good years. Good bounce-back seasons. Scotty Bowman took them and transformed them into a defensive machine, but their offensive numbers climbed. Perreault had 80 games. Both of them played full seasons. Perreault had 40 goals, 66 assists, 106 points. And Martin had 45 goals, 34 assists, 79 points. And the first year that the French Connection was broken up. So it is what it is. These are just some of the things that we have to accept and move on. And, that's sports, right? So. All right, and let's go over the standings. Yeah, let's go over the standings briefly. All right, so the Flyers did take first overall. The 35-game thing was just too much for anybody to catch them, including the Sabres. Sabres was just so consistent this year, though. My God, so consistent. There was 39 games. I believe it was 39 games. I have it on the other side of the board. 39 games where they let in 2 or less goals, and 67 games where they let in 3 or less. They were hard to score against Buffalo. And we finished 33 goals better goals against than anybody in the entire league. We had 201. The next best had 234, which was Boston. You know what I mean? Buffalo was tight as a drum when it come to letting in goals this year. Great bounce back season. Flyers, 48, 12, and 20, 116 points. 327 goals for, 254 against, a plus 73 in goal differential. Sabres, second overall. Great season. One of my favorite all-time seasons. 47, 17, and 16, 110 points. The Scotty Bowman experiment has worked. 318 goals for, 201 against, a league-leading plus 117 goals for differential. We led by quite a margin there. Yeah, and there's a reason why I thought they were going to win the Cup this year. The Habs, 47, 20, 13, 107-point season. Not bad, considering they lost 6 in a row at one time. Think about it. 328 goals for, 240 against, plus 88 goal differential for them. And then the Bruins, fourth overall, 46, 21, 13, 105. So 105, 107, 110, 116. These teams weren't too, you know what I mean? Especially Buffalo, Montreal, and Boston were tight. 310, 234, and a plus 76 for them with the goal differential. Now the Islanders, I'm going to get to them in a second. I marked it up there. The Islanders were 39, 28, 13, 91 points. Might not sound bad, but hey, they were 116 points a year before. They just dropped 25 points from their production of a year ago. 281 goals for, 247 against, plus 34. Not very good, right? And then the young and up-and-coming Minnesota North Stars, which were a fun, young, exciting team. 36, 28, 16, 88 points, 311 goals for, 253 against, and a plus 58. Very respectable numbers for the North Stars. That was a young, inexperienced, up-and-coming team. They were fun to watch. They really were. Now, here's the thing. The Sabres close out the season undefeated in their last 14 games. 8-0-6 down the stretch, 4-0-0 their last 4 to be exact. But 8-0-6 our last 14 games. There was reasons to be optimistic about a Stanley Cup, folks. Then the Habs, they close it out 15-0-6, 21-game unbeaten streak. Here we go again. 21-game unbeaten streak heading into the playoffs. Unreal. But the quiet one, nobody's watching yet, is the Islanders. They close out the season on a 10-game unbeaten streak, 6-0-4. 6-0-4, and they finished 39-28. Take those 6 away. That means after 70 games, they were 33, 28-9. You know what I mean? They were just kind of floating all year. They were the playoff team, and that was it. And the theme of that season, besides the Flyers' amazing streak, was what is wrong with the New York Islanders. This was the theme. People would say, what is going on with them? This happened all year, right to the end, till the playoffs. It just did, because they were expected to be up here. And there they were down there, just barely, like 14 points behind Boston, 16 behind Montreal, 19 behind Buffalo, and 25 behind the Flyers. It didn't make any sense, right? Anyway, such is sports. So let's go. We're going to look at the playoffs now and ride right in, see what happens. All right, so we draw. The first round now is a best of 5. I did explain the 4 teams. We played each other 4 times each, 2 in their home ice, 2 in ours. Every single team in the league. There was no divisions meant nothing back then except a title. It was, number 1 played 16, 2 played 15, 3 played 14, and so on. You know what I mean? So divisions didn't mean anything. Round 1, we draw Vancouver. Sabres win the first game 2-1. I'm nervous after this game because the thing is, we just lost the year before in an upset to Pittsburgh, so I'm still a little nervous about that. But I feel good we have this guy named Scotty Bowman behind the bench, believe me. And our goaltending was just awesome. And that year too, Buffalo went goalie to goalie to goalie to goalie. Edwards one night, Sauvé the next. Edwards one night, Sauvé the next. That's most of the season, that's what he did. And it worked. Game number 2, we rout Vancouver 6-0, stranglehold. Canucks are facing elimination, going back home. Canucks stave off elimination. They win game 3, force a game 4. I'm not impressed because I thought we'd sweep them, but we didn't. And we swept them the next year, by the way. We played them again the next year. Canucks then win 5-4, and then we go to game 4. We close it out 3-1. Still, you felt like, oh God, I shouldn't have had to get nervous for a series like this, but I was. Other series, Flyers took out the Oilers 3 straight. The Habs took out the Whalers 3 straight. Bruins take out the Penguins in a scare, 3-2. The Islanders take out LA in 4, 3-1. LA give them a bit of a scare. I think it was game 2 LA beat them in Long Island, so it was a bit of a scare. The North Stars sweep the Leafs 3 straight. Chicago sweeps St. Louis 3 straight, and the Rangers eliminate the Atlanta Flames 3-1, which will be the last game in Atlanta Flames history right there. They'll become the Calgary Flames next year. Let's flip it over. Let's get over to the next side. All right. Quarterfinals. We draw Chicago. Not much of a team to really worry about, but we haven't made the Final Four since that fantastic 1975 season, so you're worried, about the playoffs. as a Sabres fan, you're worried about the playoffs now, not looking forward to them. It was a mind shift. We win game 1, 5-0. And then we win game 2, 6-4. The alarming thing for me, I remember then, was letting in 4 goals to Chicago on our home ice. I didn't like that. But anyway, we're up 2-0. We go back to Chicago. We beat them 2-1 and 3-2 in 2 tight games. Again, a little too tight for my taste, but we sweep them 4 straight. We've arrived again to the semifinals, finally. Since the first time in 5 years, the Sabres are in the Final Four. The other series, the Flyers took out the Rangers 4-1. The Islanders took out the Bruins 4-1. That was a stunner. That was a surprise. That was because of the way the Islanders season went. I wasn't surprised. My buddies were, but I wasn't surprised. I've been thinking for years the Islanders are going to win a Stanley Cup. And this year, there was no way to know who's going to do what. Really, there was a lot of good teams. The North Stars take out the Habs in probably one of the most stunning upsets in NHL history. I mean, this was huge because Montreal, you got to remember, they went 21, their last 21 without a loss, and they just swept Hartford. So they come into this series on a 24-game unbeaten streak, and many win the first 2 games like 3-0 and 3-1 in Montreal. And Montreal is the 4-time defending champions. You know, they're ready to make it 5. They are. And then they go back to Minnesota, and I believe Montreal beats them like 5-1, 5-0. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I was so excited for Minnesota to go back home because you just didn't get the feeling Montreal's going to win one in many. Not one. Montreal wasn't going to win both in many. You thought Minnesota was going to at least split at home and take a 3-1 lead. And Montreal go right in there and hammer them twice. I was like, oh my God. Comes back to Montreal. Montreal wins 6-2 in Montreal in Game 5. I've kind of written off the North Stars at this point. Kind of. Not yet. But then it goes back to Minnesota after the first period. Montreal's up 2-0 in Game 6. What happened in the second period in Game 6, folks, I wasn't ready for. Minnesota explodes, scores 5 goals on them, forces a Game 7, win a tight one here. Al McAdams scores, I believe it was a crazy bounce off the boards with like a minute and a half left or something. I should have wrote it down, but you get the picture. You can always check it up online anyway. And I remember Montreal hit the goalpost with like 6 seconds left in this Game 7. Oh my God, it was so nerve-wracking for me because I wanted a new champion. Come on, I was sick and tired of the Habs winning the Cup year in, year out, dominating. It's not good for her. It's not good for the sport. Good for their fans, not good for us. Sabres notes. Let's look at this now before we go into another Final Four. Let's look at these notes. These are good. 80 games played, 67 games we let in 3 or less goals, of which I mentioned before, and 39 games we let in 2 or less. We're dominant there. We can close the door on anybody. We're 33 goals better than anybody during the season. Second time in history we've made it this far. Coming into this series, the Sabres are 15-1-6 their last 22 games they've played. 11-1 if you look at their last 12, if you don't want to count any ties and just wins and losses. So we're 11-1 coming into this. And as you're going to see, the frustration of being a Sabres fan. God. Islanders stun us in Game 1, 4-1. I was hurting already, man. But this hurt more. They beat us in a real tight, good hockey game, 2-1. And I remember it was a goal that we scored. I think it was Gare, and they did disallow it or something. I can't really. I just have a faint memory of something like that in this game. It was Game 2. And we're down 2-0 going back to Long Island. So I figure we're going to win Game 3. We lose 7-4, and I believe that might have been the only time all year we let in 7 goals. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. I don't know. I'd have to check. We're down 3-0. And at this point, I'm not giving up. I never give up. It's not my DNA to give up. No way. Not when a team is being coached by Scotty Bowman that was this good. This team can bounce back, get back into it. Game number 4, the Sabres win 7-4, force a Game 5 in Buffalo. We stay alive. Just barely, but we stay alive. We go home. We win 2-0 convincingly. Sauve's in nets for this one, I believe. Yeah, I remember the fans going Sauve. Sauve was in nets for this one. And the great thing about this was that if we win next game in Long Island, in my opinion, we're winning the Stanley Cup. We're going to win Game 7 in Buffalo, no doubt in my mind, if we can get there. In this game here, we lose 5-2. But the story is, in the first 8 minutes, Perreault scored twice. At least that's what my brain remembers. He scores twice right away early in this game, and the Islanders start chipping away at us and outplaying us and taking over. Islanders are ready to make their run, and they eliminate us 4-2, and the season ends there. And I'll tell you, folks, after when Perreault tried to go by Bob Bourne with a minute left or something, it was around that much, and they scored an empty net goal on us. When they scored that empty net goal, I can't tell you how heartbroken I was, because I believed, even when we were down 4-2, we were going to come back. I really believed in this team. You know, it's one of those heartbreaking moments you never forget. 40 years later, and I'm still like, it still hurts me. You know. The other series, the Flyers took out the North Stars 4-1. Minnie gives them a scare, wins the first game in Philly. Flyers come right back. It was the first game. And the Flyers come right back, and I'm pretty sure anyway, it's either the first or second, but they won that game in Philly in the beginning of the series, and the Flyers just stormed back and said, no, we're going to the finals, you know, and that was it. So I'll never forget that. Anyway. It was funny, I watched the finals that year, and it made no sense. Buffalo wasn't in it. The Islanders were, you know. But it was the first time in the Islanders' history they were in the finals, so it was exciting. It was still exciting. The Islanders wear down the Flyers, mostly because of their power play in this series, if I'm going to go in a nutshell. I'm telling you, the Flyers' penalty kill couldn't do nothing with their power play. Their power play scored something like 15 goals or something. It was crazy the amount of goals. They scored a ton of goals in this series on the power play. A ton. But if you haven't seen the Bob Nystrom goal, still my favorite goal of all time as a fan. My favorite goal, most exciting, because I watched the New York Islanders in 1 second go from chokers to champions when Nystrom scored that goal. Couldn't help but be happy for them. I was happy for them. I was. You know, it broke my heart. We didn't get to win the Stanley Cup, but I figured, you know, the next year we'd be okay. And we didn't do bad the next year, but, you know, as history's had it, we've not been a very lucky team come playoff time. Conn Smythe went to Brian Trottier. And thus was the beginning of what I believe is the second greatest dynasty in NHL history. Was the Islanders' string of 19 consecutive series won, you know. I can't compare teams that haven't won. If you haven't won 3 cups in a row, I just can't compare it. I can't. If the Oilers wouldn't have choked in '86, they'd be right up there. They'd be right up there probably as my number 2 ever. Yeah. Maybe number 1, because it would have been 5 in a row. But they blew it, so what can you do, right? Thus is sports. All right, folks, that's it. I want to thank you very much for watching. And subscribe. Let's get this channel moving. Only if you're diehard Sabres fans. And any other hockey fans. I'm going to do some other hockey stuff during the year. We'll see. Not there yet, but I want to go over some history of the Sabres, especially for some of the young kids that are suffering, because I feel bad for the Sabres kids, fans today. The kids are like 21, 22, 20, and they've only know this losing, and it's sad. It's really sad. I feel bad for those fans. I really do. They didn't have any great years like some of us guys did back in these days. You know what I mean? Even though we didn't win a championship, it's kind of good for them to know that, wow, there was really some great times in the Sabres history, because there was great times, folks. These were amazing years that I'll never forget. You know, they were great years, and I still like have dreams that Bowman and the Sabres won a Stanley Cup. You know, it's just the way it is. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, and I'll see you folks soon.